Dear comrades, comrades in arms, friends, I warmly welcome you to Moscow, you, the delegates of the 23rd Congress of the United Russia Party. First of all, I would like to thank the President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin, for his kind words to our party and for the encouragement he has just given. They concern the successful and stable development of our country, the strengthening of its security, sovereignty, and the achievement of the goals of the special military operation. We will all continue to work on fulfilling these tasks. The Congress of the largest, most massive and influential political force in the country is always an event of special importance. But, as the President has just noted, its importance is strengthened by internal and external circumstances. For the first time in modern history, we are holding parliamentary elections in our country, which are fighting for the protection of its citizens, its core interests and values. It is obvious that our enemies will try to disrupt the normal course of the election campaign with provocations and sabotage in order to shake up our state, which they cannot defeat on the battlefield, as Vladimir Vladimirovich has just said. In these conditions, we must be a reliable support to the President, and we must serve the people. For this, it is fundamentally important to maintain party discipline and endurance. This hall, the Congress itself, gives a good opportunity to feel our unity, to feel that a huge country is behind us. And when we are together, it is impossible to break us. I will also say that our emotions, we all have them. They must be tested and restrained today. This is the only way to achieve our goals. Our actions should not be meaningless bravado, let alone arrogance, or, on the contrary, memory. The truth is on our side. Unity is the worldview foundation of a unique Russian civilization, as the head of state rightly said. For many centuries, it has allowed our multinational and multi-confessional people to live and develop in the vastness of the largest state in the world, and with the support of our own forces, our resources. And today our unity is stronger than the so-called Western civilization, the one that has been perpetuated for centuries due to inhuman colonial exploitation, genocide of peoples all over the world. After all, the West boasts of its notorious humanism, tolerance, but in fact it is covered by the oblivion of fundamental human values, the most destructive vices and ideas, up to the justification of fascism. Who could have imagined this a few decades ago? A vivid example of this is the support of the anti-national Nazi regime in Kyiv. This support has led not only to the actual collapse of a large state, but also, in fact, to the irreversible destruction of the entire nation. Our soldiers on the front line, our comrades, our brothers, our sisters, with weapons in their hands, are confronting a pack of Russia's haters, those bastards who have developed a moral and a set of values. What is there to hide? Our enemies want our country to disappear from the map of the world. They say this directly. And who says this? These are not ordinary people. These are the heads of these states. It has already come to this. That is, they are trying to destroy us and our children. Everything that our ancestors created with love in the name of the future motherland. United, Russia will not allow them to do this. Our party has been providing for the implementation of the course of the head of the Russian state for almost a quarter of a century. It was created as the core of the consolidation of society in order to preserve the integrity of the country, not to allow a new tragedy to fall apart. All these years we have maintained the position of an undisputed political leader. It is thanks to the ability to live with people with the same concerns, to unite them around our fundamental, our traditional values, the common homeland, historical fate, culture, family, care for children, mutual respect. These values are close and understandable to representatives of all social groups, ethnic, confessional. They are close to everyone who is in this hall today. To all of us, the citizens of Great Russia, the unity of values gives rise to common goals. The unity of values turns into the coordination of requests for citizens and governance decisions into mutual understanding and trust in the main and small things. Thanks to this, our party has more than once successfully led the country through the most difficult historical periods. The strength of any political force, the strength of the party, is always checked by its ability to respond to challenges. And the past 5 years have become a very serious test for us, a real moment of truth. We were together with the country, with our people, and we believe that we have honestly fulfilled our duty. Well, now we are determined to continue working in the most difficult period in modern history. We will protect, there is no doubt about this, our state and its citizens. We will preserve our unity and values. Therefore, we can have only one goal of the newly started election campaign: unconditional victory in the upcoming elections. United Russia has been preparing for the current campaign for a long time. It has improved its party structure and methods of work. But I would like to note some important points. First, we have consistently developed inter-party democracy and communication. We have paid special attention to our colleagues who work on the ground, who are closest to the citizens, to the people of our country, and provide the parties with the opportunity to hear everyone. This is a primary organization. Therefore, there was a year of primary departments, a year of municipal deputies. We have generalized and distributed the best experience of work at the local level throughout the country. The main thing is that we have strengthened the interaction between deputies and primary secretaries. And now, this is the main link of work on the ground. This is what the head of our state has called us to do now. And the role of each party member in achieving a result in the elections has seriously increased. Even now, during the federal election campaign, we continue to strengthen the basic structures of United Russia. Therefore, the current year in the party is declared the year of local departments. It is they who coordinate the work of primaries and municipal deputies and bear the main burden of the electoral campaign. Second, we have seriously improved the system of internal party education and increased the qualification of the asset. This is how we responded to the most popular request from our comrades. After all, competent specialists are needed for victory, namely those who work in local departments, our deputies. Now, the education system covers all the institutes and structures of United Russia. Since the beginning of the work of the Higher Party School, 47 federal primary schools and courses have been held. Their graduates have become 2,500, even more than 2,700 listeners. The school has held 126 training seminars, organized remote educational courses, and 350,000 of our comrades have completed their training in total. In addition, the federal educational project Politstart is in effect. It is addressed to those who take part in the elections for the first time. Approximately 10% of its graduates, that is, almost 3,000 people, have become winners of internal party voting. Third, in order to maintain the position of a leader and a strong connection with the people, it is necessary to change. This is the law of political life. Together with society and the country, United Russia invariably follows this principle in personnel work. We bet on the combination of experience and new energy. Over the past 5 years, according to the results of each campaign, the number of election commissions and deputies has been updated by about half, and last year it was almost 90%. 90% is, in fact, a record. According to the results of the United Days of Voting, we have never reduced what we were going for, the results we were focused on, but this means that we have maintained high trust, and this is especially valuable. The key role in achieving such a result is the procedure of preliminary internal party voting. I already talked about this today when I met with colleagues from the General Assembly and the Supreme Council. Let me remind you that we are the only party in the country that has the opportunity to form a list of candidates for citizens. No other party follows this path. It is people who decide who will fight for the right to represent their interests in the relevant legislative authorities. This approach finds approval and response from the citizens of our country. Let me remind you that this year more than 10 million people took part in the preliminary voting. An important indicator of the trust of the people of United Russia is their desire to represent our party. More than 22,000 applications were submitted to the preliminary voting of all levels. This provided for high competition. On average, almost 12 people took part in the nomination of candidates for deputies of the State Duma, and 7 of them wanted to run for regional parliaments. All those who passed such a selection became truly popular candidates. Therefore, I am sure that we are going to the elections with a strong team. Our position is further strengthened by the participation of veterans of special military operations and how important it is to involve them in political and public processes. The President has repeatedly said this from this podium. We are carrying out this mission. According to the results of the preliminary voting, almost 500 people received the right to represent the party at the elections, 480 people, over a third of all those who ran. This means that our society trusts the defenders and expresses its respect and support for them. Fourth, over the past few years, we have tried to strengthen the authority of United Russia as a party that is always with people and is ready to help not only at the level of legislative decisions, but also in ordinary, everyday, difficult situations. Our volunteers deserve special credit for this work. More than 8,500 people participate in the party's humanitarian and volunteer missions. Thank them for this. In the shortest possible time, they responded to all cases when they were in need of help. This was the case in Kursk and Belgorod after the attack on the Russian land by Ukrainian militants, in Dagestan and Kurgan during natural disasters, on the Black Sea coast during technological accidents. The actions of our volunteers are an example of true solidarity and selflessness. Moreover, they are engaged in a wide variety of things. By the way, they are very difficult. They support veterans of special operations, their loved ones, pensioners, and many families. They restore museums and memorials. They spend Saturdays. I will tell you about the humanitarian mission of United Russia. It began its work from the first days of the SVO. We were the first volunteer party to enter the liberated cities and villages, literally following our fighters. The party's humanitarian centers were located in the most difficult areas: Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, Berdyansk and Takmake, other liberated cities. Often these centers became the only source of food and water, medical and other necessary aid for the residents. The entire humanitarian mission, which was directed to our historical regions, brought almost 150,000 tons of cargo, both for the fighters and for the residents. Once again, I would like to thank the head of state for the high appreciation of this work of United Russia. Voluntary work is one of the areas in which we are particularly actively strengthening our ties with like-minded people from the so-called third sector. Over the past few years, United Russia has taken a serious step forward in cooperation with civil society institutions. First of all, thanks to the modernization of the Institute of Party Supporters. In addition, the party responded to the initiative of our activists and created the women's movement of United Russia. It was time to do this. As part of our work with the youth, we launched new personnel and educational programs for the Young Guard, the Politsavod, and the Guard. In fact, they did a good job. To interact with technological entrepreneurs and startups, we created an Innovation Development Council. Today, the vast majority of non-commercial organizations are among our partners in socially significant projects. The party hears their opinions and takes them into account in its work. The most important function of the country's largest political force is the feedback between the state and society. United Russia has proven that it can turn citizens' requests into effective state decisions. A good example is the implementation of our party projects. The idea of capital school renovation was born within the framework of the party project New School. It became an effective state program that we are implementing together with the government and the Ministry of Education. The idea of social gasification was also embodied in the current program, which allowed to bring gas to more than 1 million new households across the country. Our party project Urban Environment became the basis for a joint improvement program with the Ministry of Education. Another ideological and very important action is the victory dictation. It appeared on the platform of the party project Historical Memory, but it has long been out of the framework of party work and has become the most important patriotic event, not only of the state, but also of the international scale. A clear evidence that United Russia provides a connection between citizens and the state is the support of the heads of state of those initiatives that were born directly from the requests of people. For example, the idea of maintaining the threshold of revenue for small and medium-sized businesses at the previous level by applying a simplified tax system, and also to allocate an additional 3 billion rubles from the federal budget for the organization of summer vacation for children, participants in special military operations, many child families, and those who are in a difficult life situation. Dear comrades, dear colleagues, only the citizens of Russia determine what the future of our country will be. This, in fact, is true sovereignty. Our president stands for it. and our fighters are fighting for it today. Our party implements the right of citizens to determine the future of the country through its documents. First of all, this is a pre-election program of the party. We improve party mechanisms, expand cooperation with like-minded people, provide feedback between the authorities and people. The national program has become a symbol of unity, of the goals and values of the party and the people of Russia. That is why the implementation of the obligations of the national program is an absolute priority for each of us. United Russia implemented the national program in 2021 despite the most unexpected and difficult circumstances. As Vladimir Vladimirovich said, we have not turned a single key direction of development, despite extremely serious circumstances, very serious difficulties. Moreover, the national program is a living document that takes into account the changes that are taking place. We have supplemented it with new sections in order to adequately respond to the total sanctions announced by our country, to help the front, veterans, families, to arrange the life of the returned historical regions of Russia. The party that has the majority is strong when it has the majority of real, necessary affairs. I will give a few examples of how the national program embodied the unity of goals and values in specific matters. People are not common words, not figures of speech. They are really the main wealth of our country. Therefore, investments in the health and development of a person, primarily children, have always been our priority. During the implementation of the national program, 14,500 healthcare facilities were created and modernized. These are FAPIs, ambulatories, polyclinics. In addition, almost 100% of preschool education in Russia is provided. 1,700 kindergartens have been built for 250,000 places, and the same number of schools for 1 million places. Also, 630 university dormitories have been renovated. A network of modern university campuses is being formed. The national program allowed to evict about 16 million square meters of emergency housing. At the same time, almost 1 million people moved to new houses. We are truly proud of the fact that we live in the largest country in the world. As part of the national program, we are arranging its expanses, implementing large infrastructure development projects, including transport ones. The creation of a high-speed railway line, Moscow-St. Petersburg, is underway. More than 20 million tons have been used to increase the capacity of the Eastern Railway polygon. By the beginning of 2026, it was 180 million tons per year. The final stage is the construction of the Moscow-Tyumen M12 motorway. Already now it connects Moscow with Kazan and Yekaterinburg. We are trying to treat Russia's natural resources and its ecology as carefully as possible. By implementing the national program, the party has provided for the recultivation of almost 300 large objects accumulated in the environment. This allowed to clean up dozens of landfills and improve the quality of life of about 30 million people. Our country has always valued hard work and dedication to one's cause. The national program has allowed to provide support to small businesses on a systemic basis, even in very difficult financial and economic conditions. Since 2021, small and medium-sized enterprises have been provided with tax credits worth almost 5 trillion rubles. Another 1.3 trillion rubles have been allocated as part of the commissioning mechanism. This measure has covered more than 130,000 entrepreneurs. We have been regularly trying to achieve additional budget financing for the national program when we saw that it was extremely necessary. This is what our party has been doing in the State Duma. In 2023, an additional 3 billion rubles were allocated for the development of employment programs and the modernization of employment centers. More than 8 billion rubles were allocated to provide internet connection to residents of remote regions. In 2024, United Russia achieved an increase in the three-year financing of social support programs by almost 200 billion rubles. This decision affected many families, participants in special military operations, doctors, teachers, and other socially significant categories. In 2025, thanks to amendments from the party, more than 2 billion rubles increased the support of the Foundation for Defenders of the Fatherland. We also provided financing for the Committee of Families of Patriotic Warriors and the Association of Veterans of the Soviet Union. Additional money was invested in car roads of regional significance. For example, 20 billion rubles were allocated for this. Why am I talking about this here? This is not just a party report that we are obliged to do at the Congress. The President just talked about this. We tried to achieve this without populism and information noise. At the same time, other parties often tried to join our initiatives. When they realized that this initiative was passable, that it had money, everyone was happy about the success. But we did it carefully, and all our proposals were carefully worked out with the government of the Russian Federation, for which we thank it very much. This allowed us to maintain the balanced budget of our country. Thanks to the daily work of our entire party infrastructure, from the leaders to the fraction in the State Duma, today we can confidently tell our voters that United Russia has fulfilled its commitments. Moreover, we went to the people not just with a report on the implementation of the People's Program of 2021. We offered to honestly and openly discuss the results obtained in order to make our work better and more effective. This campaign turned out to be unprecedented in scale. Discussions took place in all regions of the country. There were 7 major industry forums in which members of the government took part. All this is necessary for people to know how the party responds to their requests, how national priorities determined by the president of the country are implemented. Because only fulfilled promises give the right to lead. We combined the reporting campaign with the collection of proposals for a new pre-election document. For this purpose, we used not only the forums that I just mentioned, but also all possible channels. Meetings with voters, public reception chairs of the party, appeals to citizens. Well, we also opened a special website. There is a result of the Russian Federation. Today, we have received almost 2.5 million citizens' initiatives. Let's think about it. 2.5 million. It was this number that was put at the heart of the People's Program of 2021. But it means that the party has the opportunity to exceed this indicator. We consider it very important that our main pre-election document, the plan for the future of Russia, it is not written in the silence and is not determined by some small groups of people. Authors of the party document, engineers, workers, farmers, entrepreneurs, teachers, scientists, students, defenders of the fatherland, who are fighting today on the front line. The new People's Program will become the plan of work of United Russia for the next 5 years. Well, in response to the main challenges that our country has faced, in direct dialogue with people, in discussions with participants of the Expert Council, in talks on the preparation of the program, we have identified 7 such challenges. I will name them. Why? Because it should find a reflection in the structure and content of the pre-election document. The first and most acute challenge is demography. Therefore, the main priority of the New People's Program is the preservation and multiplication of the people of Russia. The prosperous future of our country begins with a family, with children. And this is absolutely obvious. The more new citizens of Russia, the stronger our country. The voters understand this perfectly. A huge number of proposals concern the younger generation, the support of parents, people of older age, medicine, of course, available medicines, prevention, rehabilitation, promotion of a healthy lifestyle, care for the environment. The second challenge concerns changes in the labor market and the emergence of new professions. Decent work provides confidence in tomorrow, creates a strong foundation for families and children. People share ideas on how to make education more accessible so that everyone can find the desired profession. The People's Program must include changes in qualifications, development of employment services, personnel navigation, and many other issues of labor regulation in the Russian Federation. The third challenge concerns the uneven development of the regions of our country. This is also an obvious problem for us. Every Russian family must try to provide comfortable living conditions. We are talking about affordable housing, a modern urban environment, high-quality utility services, safe roads. This is the main issue. We are not only talking about metropolises, but also about villages, about remote areas of our country. There is still a lot to be done. Unprecedented economic pressure is another challenge for our state. It can only be answered by strengthening our economy. To do this, we must ensure industrial growth, a new level of advanced industries, including, of course, the agricultural sector, and support for responsible business. The fifth challenge is closely related to the previous one, which concerns the rapid development of technology. All this is happening before our eyes and at a kaleidoscopic rate. We need technological sovereignty and leadership in a critically important area. Within the framework of the People's Program, we need to support the introduction of innovation and artificial intelligence into the economy, robotization, and the widespread use of digital platforms. Without this, there is no life today. Our citizens are well aware of how important it is to resist attempts to impose foreign values on us. This is, in fact, part of the hybrid war between the West and Russia. To respond to this challenge, we need to bring people together to their native history and culture, to preserve the spiritual and moral foundations of our civilization, and, as the President said, to draw inspiration and energy for the development and fulfillment of the famous figures and heroes of our country. And finally, the seventh challenge is, in general, to ensure the security of the fatherland. We will be able to respond to it only by winning a special military operation. Without this, there will be no security. We understand this perfectly well. And of course, we will need to further develop those industries that ensure the protection of the sovereignty and national interests of Russia. This topic in the People's Program should sound weighty and clear. Our pre-election document reflects the unity of the party's values, and I hope the values of the citizens of our entire country. Its preparation must be completed as soon as possible. I propose to approve the final edition at the second stage of the Party Congress, which will take place at the end of August. We also need to complete the work on the Party Manifesto, a program document designed for a longer term. It is also advisable for us to have it. The People's Program must be thoughtful, realistic, and absolutely concrete, just as we have always done it, so that even in the most difficult conditions we can implement the life of the initiative of our citizens, ensure the achievement of the national goals of development formulated by the President. This is what we are going to the elections for in order to win. The basis of such a victory can be only one thing: the trust of the people. We know how to preserve and strengthen this trust, even in the conditions of a tough confrontation with the West. This is what Vladimir Vladimirovich has just said. First of all, what is needed for this? It is necessary to speak honestly to people, honestly and openly, to admit mistakes. No one is safe from them. We have always done this, and it is the interested and frank conversation with the voters, understanding their problems and requests, that has solved, more than once, let's say, the outcome of the elections in favor of a united Russia. Such an approach must be maintained in the agitation work of tens of thousands of our activists, prime ministers, municipal deputies, supporters, and public figures. In addition, the campaign does not cancel the usual daily party work. It is important to continue to help people in the usual regime, especially those who are in difficult conditions, to ensure, of course, the continuous work of the legislative branch of power at all levels, to react quickly to the difficulties and problems that exist. Our party has enough political experience and organizational resources for this. Dear comrades, dear colleagues, comrades in arms, the pre-election campaign has officially begun. There are about 12 weeks left until the one-day voting. There are responsible decisions ahead, which will be taken not by politicians, not by officials, but by the citizens of our country. It is they who will choose whom to entrust the management of Russia in this difficult time. Today we will approve the lists of candidates for deputies of the State Duma from United Russia. This list should be headed by people who our country knows, thanks to their deeds and their firm patriotic position, which is especially important in today's situation. Those who defend the sovereignty and national interests of Russia, those who are on the battlefield, those who are on the information front, those who are in the economy and social sphere, those who are on the international arena. These are different people of different generations and professions, but they can all represent our voters, supporters, and like-minded people. That is, our great motherland. Therefore, I propose to form the first 5 of the federal pre-election list of our party with the following comrades: Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Viktorovich Lavrov. Mayor of Moscow, Sergei Semyonovich Sobyanin. Hero of Russia, Deputy Director General of VGTRK Evgeny Evgenyevich Podubny. Deputy President of Russia, Maria Alexeyevna Lvova-Belova. Hero of Russia, head of the main headquarters of the All-Russian Child, Youth, Military and Patriotic Public Movement of the Young Army, Vladislav Nikolaevich Golovin. Vladimir Vladimirovich Yakushev will report on more detailed information throughout the list a little later. Dear comrades, comrades in arms, dear friends, the future of our country is made up of the decisions and actions of a huge number of people when common values, common goals lie at the heart of them, and an indestructible unity is born. Our party has been and remains the core of such unity. We are going to people not for the advance of trust, but for the continuation of common work in the interests of citizens and for the good of our country. It is extremely important for us to win right now in a dramatic period of trials and very difficult decisions, to show that the unity of our people is a truly inexhaustible, indomitable force, a solid support of our freedom, independence, and sovereignty. As the head of state has just said, the energy of our victory should become the energy of the victory of Russia, both in special military operations and in competition for technological leadership, for our economic power, for the protection of our traditional values and the right of the country, our children, for a happy and prosperous future. I am sure that we will continue to work for this, and together we will undoubtedly win. Thank you.